This is Walter and Debbie Priebe. They're a well-to-do couple from Pompano Beach, Florida, and this is their house. It's a pretty nice place. It's not surprising because Walt and Debbie spent the last 20 years fixing up the place. They've renovated it, they've added a new roof, they even put on a second-level addition, and now, through no fault of their own, Walt and Debbie are about to lose their house. Not because they haven't been paying their mortgage, not because they lost their jobs, they're retired, but because the government has suddenly said their property taxes are going to go from $15,000 a year to $91,000 a year. That's right, just their property taxes alone are going from a monthly payment of $1,250 to more than $7,500 a month to the government for a property that they supposedly already own. This is a story all about how property taxes, thanks to runaway inflation, have become a de facto tax on unrealized capital gains, and it's causing people all over the country to start losing their homes through no fault of their own. What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special, and I got to send a shout out to my friends Joe and Bruce, who sent me this one yesterday in Realtor.com that really had me grinding my teeth, and it got people talking on Twitter quite a bit yesterday as well. My property tax went from $15,000 to a life-altering $91,000 a year. Walter and Debbie Priebe thought they were doing the right thing. Their home in Pompano Beach, Florida, which they purchased in 2002 from Walter's father, needed serious repairs. The walls were infested with termites, the roof was failing, but more than that, the house held deep emotional value. Their late son had done the plumbing himself, and the home is set on the water, complete with a seawall and boat lift that they'd added over the years, a dream home of their own making. So this is kind of setting the table for this story. Walt and Debbie have been in this house for more than 20 years. They bought it from Walter's father in 2002. The house needed a lot of work, termites, the roof. They have done tremendous repairs. It's also got a lot of sentimental attachment because of their late son. And let's be honest, this is a very nice house. This is in an upscale neighborhood. It's right on the water. There's now a sea lift and a boat lift. Walt and Debbie are hardly poor people here. But the fact that Walt and Debbie are wealthy doesn't mean they deserve to lose their house, and it sure as heck doesn't mean the government is entitled to take that wealth from them, which is exactly what they're doing. In 2021, the Priebes decided to renovate with their future in mind. They would fix the roof and add a second story, making space for aging in place while preserving the structure's sentimental roots. Debbie, who had worked for a real estate attorney for nearly 25 years, anticipated that their property taxes might increase, but when the final tax bill arrived in 2023 after construction was complete, their taxes had skyrocketed from $15,000 a year to more than $90,000, 6 times their previous bill, and nearly double what they had estimated their new tax liability would be. And folks, I feel like a lot of people might be glancing over the scale of the increase here. We're talking an annual increase in the property taxes that's more than the average household income in America just because they fixed up the place. The reason? Their remodel had triggered a full reassessment of the property's value, and high demand for homes in their neighborhood had driven home prices sky high. While the Priebes had bought the home in 2002 for $650,000, it was now assessed at over $4.4 million. At the core of the Priebe story is a confluence of factors that have been quietly brewing beneath the surface of the housing market. While national conversations on affordability have largely focused on mortgage rates and first-time buyers, another crisis has been gaining steam. Property taxes are becoming unaffordable, even for longtime homeowners who have stayed put for decades. Now, this is important here. These folks have been in this house for 20 years, and they don't deserve to lose it. They haven't done anything wrong. They're not Airbnb flippers. They're not buying the house like a private equity firm and trying to turn a quick profit on it. The only thing they've done wrong is sit tight and fix up their house while the whole world around them went clinically insane with money printing and created a hyper-financialized housing bubble. And now the government says because of that bubble, your monthly bill has gone up and they can't afford it. And it's largely because of an obscure loophole in the law. The renovations, removing the roof and adding a second floor, ultimately triggered a full reassessment of the home's value. Under Florida law, once a property is deemed substantially improved, it can be treated as new construction, removing the protections that cap the home's assessed value for years. They called this a brand new house. Now, if you look on the tax roll, we've owned the home since 2022, even though they bought the place in 2002. So the Priebes knew their taxes were going to go up with this renovation, but they didn't quite realize how much it was going to go up. The fact that they added that second level triggered that full reassessment of the value. And once that full reassessment of the value was done, the local government started looking at things like comparable sales in their neighborhoods. And since the housing market has gone rather crazy in the last couple of years, all of a sudden their house is being viewed against neighbors' houses that sold for almost $5 million recently. And like magic, the Priebe's $650,000 house is suddenly a $4.4 million house, and they suddenly owe the government $90,000 a year just to keep renting a house that they supposedly already own from the government. Now, these are retired people. They don't send any kids to the district. These people aren't a drag on the system in any way. And now they need to cough up more money than the average family makes in a year just to stay where they've been for 20 years. And it's not just the property taxes that are skyrocketing across the country. Check out this one in CNBC from just a few days ago. Homeowners insurance has soared over 50% in these states. The skyrocketing price of insurance premiums is deepening the housing crisis, cautions the Consumer Federation of America. Homeowners insurance rates have risen dramatically from an average of $2,656 annually in 2021 to $3,303 in 2024. That's an extra $650 a year that the average family has to cough up just for insurance on the same home. That's a 24% increase and more than twice as fast as the rate of inflation in the same time frame. And when you combine property taxes and insurance, you end up with headlines like this from just a few months ago in the Wall Street Journal. Insurance and taxes now cost more than mortgages for many homeowners. Ballooning expenses rewrite the math on home ownership. In September of 2024, 32% of the average single-family mortgage payment went to property taxes and home insurance. That's the highest rate ever for data going back to 2014, according to Intercontinental Exchange. Nationwide, taxes and insurance make up more than half of the monthly mortgage payment for 9% of single-family mortgages. That's up from less than 4% at the end of 2014. Now, that is a remarkable statistic. 1 in 10 homeowners in this country is paying more in property taxes and insurance than they are principal and interest on their mortgage. That just goes to show you the runaway cost of housing. So what is going on here? The answer is rather simple. Home values are just simply way too high. We don't need affordable housing. We don't need to build pods to put young people in. We don't need more government subsidy programs to give free money to first-time home buyers so they can just further bid up home prices. The reason why these insurance rates are going up so much is because the homes they're insuring have gone up in value, and the insurance companies need to collect more premiums in order to guarantee losses that big. The same way, the reason why taxes are going up so much is because these home values have gone up so much that now the property taxes attached to them, they're rising too. So all these affordability programs that politicians are proposing will do nothing for cases like this, because all they do is further inflate home prices, which will further inflate property taxes and further inflate insurance costs. What we need is lower house prices, not more government programs that just artificially inflate the bubbles. Now, yesterday I posted this story on X, and I got some pretty shocking feedback in this. Most people were like me in disbelief at how somebody could be forced to pony up more than $7,500 a month just to rent their own house and property from the government. But a lot of people were expressing some pretty outright ignorant things. A lot of people were just quick to say, "Boomer, I don't care," as if the Priebe's age somehow meant that they deserve to lose their home. Sorry, that is just flat out the wrong take. The Priebes have done nothing wrong here. They bought this house in 2002. They haven't been recklessly flipping homes. All they did was restore the value of their home, increase it even, invest in adding that second level, which, by the way, supports the economy and jobs. And their reward is the government says, now you gotta give me a couple of grand a month more. Think about how reckless and stupid it is that the government has created a financial penalty for investing in making the neighborhood a little bit nicer, And then we ask ourselves, why do modern cities resemble post-apocalyptic hellscapes and not the American dream that was sold to us decades ago? Gee, maybe it's got something to do with policies like this. Now, a lot of people on X also focused in on the Priebe's wealth. Yes, the Priebes are a very well-to-do couple. They've got a waterfront house that's worth $4.4 million. These are hardly poor people, but that doesn't mean they deserve to lose their home. A lot of the people making these comments fail to realize that this affects them too. This isn't just rich people losing their homes. Yes, the Priebe's case is a very extreme example of a wealthy couple who triggered a loophole in the law that maybe they should have been aware of, maybe not. But the fact that these property taxes are rising so much because of the housing bubble is not limited to wealthy waterfront owners in Florida. This is happening all over the country. This is not just driving up property tax payments or insurance payments. This is also driving up rent. And if you're one of those millennials or Gen Zers who's sitting there hopeless, wondering why you can never afford a house, this is why. A house that was affordable 20 years ago for the Priebes is no longer affordable, and that's not limited to them. That will affect first-time homebuyers who will have to pay those same property taxes. Even if you're in a lower tax district, those taxes are still going up, and you're going to have to pay insurance if you want to get a mortgage on a house that has to be insured for a higher level because these home prices have risen so high. In short, this has nothing to do with wealth. This has nothing to do with boomers. This is due to the fact that runaway inflation has caused home values to bloat so high, and now governments are licking their chops knowing that if they reassess these homes, they can give themselves a raise. Now, the Priebes are having to pay all of this money on an asset that they bought years ago that they haven't even sold yet. So this is a de facto tax on unrealized capital gains. They owe more money for an asset that they own, even though they haven't sold it. They haven't made any money. The Priebes haven't seen one penny of that increase in their home equity, but yet they're on the hook for $90,000 a year to Uncle Sam just to keep a house that they already bought. This is driving people out of their homes. And yes, the Priebes have millions of dollars in equity that if they sell their home, they will collect that. But that equity is not enough money for the Priebes to buy the same home, and therefore they would be seeing a de facto downgrade in their standard of living, much like anybody from a poor neighborhood in the same situation would experience. In other words, this is the government confiscating wealth, both through the sinister hidden tax of inflation and the outright wealth transfer tax of property taxes. When these two things combine, the government is outright stealing people's homes. Now, all of these problems can be solved with one thing: lower home prices. I've done a lot of videos on this channel. I've had my friend Melody Wright and John Comiskey on several times to talk about all the hidden ways the government is keeping this housing bubble inflated. All the zero interest rate policy, all the money printing, these FHA loan workout programs, the ABS market, all these things combined are keeping home values artificially high to the point now where people can no longer afford these houses. If we stop all of these programs, all the money printing, all the Fed purchases of mortgage-backed securities, all the FHA loan workouts, these home prices will fall. And if the prices fall, then the insurance costs and the property taxes that go along with them will fall as well. And the prices will fall down to a point where young people might finally have a chance at realizing the dream of home ownership. All of these problems are solved not with more government interference, but with less. These prices will go down if we let them. Unfortunately, the powers that be in Washington, D.C. and Wall Street will not let home values fall. Till next time, live small and dream big.